All right, here we go. God help me, I'm going to do a video on forward-facing sonar. This is a mistake. But for some reason I hate my life and I want to make a video on it, so here we go. So first I want to start out where I stand on forward-facing sonar. I don't care. Like, I just want to learn. I want to get better. That's really a lot of what fishing is for me. I just want to continually evolve and get better at what I do. It feels like a part of life, just trying, it feels good and feels gratifying to learn and do something new and then find success with it. So yeah, that would be number one, just where I stand. So I don't have necessarily a side. But for me, because what happened this week was Bassmaster Elite Series, they had reached out to all their anglers and they had said, okay, how do y'all feel about forward-facing sonar? What should we do? Should there be any changes? Thoughts, things like that. And in the end, Bassmaster, who here in Birmingham, decided not to make a change for next year. So like all the, was it Kodo Fujama? I forget his name. I saw him up at Bucks where he had 5 transducers, live scope transducers on his boat. And I saw it and it blew me away. But it's amazing that they're not going to make a change, and that's fine. I don't fish the Elite Series. That's what they decided to do for whatever reason. So to me now, obviously, especially from the kayak side, there's not going to be any changes with forward-facing sonar. That's fine. I didn't really expect there to be any, so it's over. The discussion's over. It's here. It's not leaving. It's going to be a part of what we do from here on out. It's done. Discussion's over. So now I'm at the point to where I wanted to do this video, because now what? We've gotten past the argument, the going back and forth. Where are we at now? And I think kind of a couple of things I've seen. I was having a discussion on social media earlier. Obvious mistake, but this is why, what made me want to do the video, because a couple of things I said were, if you can't keep up, you shouldn't compete, and also adapt or die. I find that it sounds like a young man's thing to say. Honestly, that's how it feels. Obviously not a young man, got some gray in the beard. If you've taken your entire career to learn something, you've honed it to be, like, let's say Greg Hackney. Greg Hackney is arguably the best flipper there is, the absolute best, and nobody is better than him. He's taken 40 years. He's a couple of years older than me, so let's say he's 46. He's taken 30 years of fishing and learned a specific skill. To say that Greg Hackney needs to adapt or die to learn a new way of fishing that's new, a divergent path, like, okay, I'm going to pattern fish, this is what's going on, or I'm going to chase fish on forward-facing sonar. This is a divergent path, which I think a lot of people miss. It's a fork in the road, at least to me. I have had forward-facing sonar. I don't now. I'm about to buy a 360. That was going to be my goal this off-season, learn 360, incorporate that this year, and then next year I got 2 new graphs, Humminbird 9 DI, I wanted the Lake Master maps, and I have the new GT56 transducer Garmin. So 2 9s on my kayak. So I want to have 360 on one. That's really what I want to learn. I think it really works well for me. And then next year in 2025, or the off season of 24, incorporate live scope back in, and then try to be more proficient with that. Because I did catch a few fish this year. It didn't help me in a tournament, although I was successful this year. It didn't help me, so I felt like I didn't have to have it for 24 to be successful. So yeah, I'm going 360 this year. But to say that somebody who's been fishing for that long is as good as you can be at certain things, and he can obviously do a lot of things. He obviously knows how to use his graphs. That doesn't sit right with me. Like, okay, you need to adapt to the way fishing has changed with technology. Adapt or die. I think we can, like, take a few minutes and carve out the tombstone of some anglers. Brandy Blockett, there's one. All these old school guys who fished a certain way. Kevin Van Dam, he's gone. You think he didn't see the writing on the wall? And to say that he still was competitive during the age of forward-facing sonar is, I think, missing the point of one of the reasons he retired. To say that the greatest of all time, the GOAT, the greatest of all time, is still able to compete but not win, I don't think it's saying a lot about his age or what he does. I think it talks about his game and how his game is less, you know, not as good now as what it used to be. The system, the skills that he honed over decades are not as applicable to fishing nowadays as what they used to be. That's real life. And we can stop and we can be sad for a second for our heroes, you know, the guys we've been watching for decades on the Elite Series, Bass Pro Tour, FLW, whatever it is, all these guys that we, you know, that we're fans of the sport. That's over. Those guys are done. If they don't incorporate this new technology, at least in the foreseeable future. Now, will there be a time whenever there is that change to where people do have to go back to the bank because everybody incorporates it? At some point, and this is another reason why I want to have the video, maybe that does happen. We are far from there. We are far from there, like years away from that. And I want to say this too. I have all respect for forward-facing sonar anglers. I have zero issue with it. None. It's obviously a skill that it takes time, you know, years of effort and immense amount of time on the water to really get good at forward-facing sonar. So please, anybody who uses it, I have no issue with it. You're within the rules to do it, and you should, because it's obviously a very powerful tool. So I'm not taking anything away from what you do, because it's a great thing. I don't have an issue with it. But at the same time, you can't talk out of, a lot of the argument I see is, well, they'll say a forward-facing sonar should be around, is valid, you need to adapt or die. But then people want to talk out of the other side of their mouth and say, but it's not that powerful. It's not so good that you have to use it. It's not so good that the fish just jump in the boat. My least favorite thing to hear anybody say, because that's ridiculous. If anybody says that on either side, if your argument is, well, it didn't help them jump in the boat, or if your argument is, it helps them, they just jump in the boat with that, both of y'all are stupid. That argument is ignorant. So yeah, I don't like that. You can't talk out of both sides of your mouth and say, one, it's not that dominant, but everybody's dominating with it. Greg DePalma fished 3 events on the Bassmaster Kayak Series and was, top, if he would have, he was up there, let's just say that, using forward-facing sonar and his rigged Old Town autopilot boats coming through here at the launch. So you can't, it is dominant. Let's go ahead and put that out there. Let's go ahead and, you can't try to keep the forward-facing sonar guys, you can't try to keep it like, you know, it's kind of under, you can't want it to be allowed. You can't want it to get better. And then also kind of keep it close to the vest and say, this is mine. Like, the word's out, and everybody needs to know how powerful it is. And this is another reason I did the video. All 9 people that just qualified for the Bassmaster Elite Series, are any of them not very highest level forward-facing sonar users? I didn't watch all the open lives, but if I had to, I'm assuming, let's say 9 out of 10 9 out of 9 or 8 out of 9. Let's say all except for maybe one. I don't know. I'm sure it's all 9. All 9 are very elite, top level, 9 out of 10 or better forward-facing sonar users. Can someone ever qualify for the Elite Series again without using without being an upper level forward-facing sonar user? I don't know. I wouldn't imagine in the foreseeable future, in the next few years. Do you? Put it down below. I'm really curious. Like, I don't want to argue the merits of using forward-facing sonar because that argument's over. The argument now is adapt or die. And that'll be the title of this video. Who's adapting? If you're not adapting, what about the people that don't want to adapt? The Bassmaster Elite Series just said you can have a maximum, however many forward-facing transducers, units. There is no limit to what you have on your boat or on your kayak. What are these people going to have? Now that it is so dominant, you have to have it. You have to adapt or die. I imagine there's going to be some people that are just going to drop out and say, nah, this is not, I can't compete. Especially on the boat side. Sad. The sport has changed. This week, the line in the sand has been drawn before forward-facing sonar and after. This is the future. You better get with it, adapt or die if you're in a boat. Like, not that you don't have to have other techniques, not that you don't have to be a well-rounded angler, but your skills, if you're a 10 out of 10 in forward-facing sonar, you definitely don't have to be. You can overcome it in other categories. It's just true. And kind of the last thing I wanted to talk about was kayak fishing effect. What does that mean for us kayak anglers? This year, top 2 were obviously in Bassmaster Elite Series. Angler of the Year points, Russ Snyder's, more of a shallow water power kind of guy, and also Nick Dyer. Pretty much fished the same way. Friends with him from the Coosa Kingfishers. Also Russ, great guy. Congrats to him. I know there's a little bit of, obviously, some people upset about Jeff Little filming some people, some of the Dakota House guys and gals. Not gals. That's sad. That's sad that, to me, those people are above reproach, but if I were in Nick's situation or somebody else's situation, I wouldn't like it either. It's just how I feel. A guy is maybe the best on Susquehanna River, and he's following you around. To not get approval beforehand, I just hate that it tarnishes anything that Russ or anybody else accomplished in that event, because it makes people feel a certain way, and that sucks. So do kayak anglers have to have forward-facing sonar? I think it depends on how you fish, for sure. And a lot of people will make that argument, all you have to do is just go fish in a creek like Drew Gregory. And those set of skills, well, we've seen last year, that set of skills was diminished by having to add motor. So I think if you wanted to play it safe, I would go I'm not this year, but I would 100% go all in on forward-facing sonar. If you're smart, the way they're taking away the ability of skinny water anglers to compete, the safe bet would be forward-facing sonar. Adapt or die, right? So that's it. If you have any comments, put them below. I sure shouldn't have made this, but there you go. See you on the next one. Later.